We want our kids to see a healthy amount of emotion, but we also want them to have the freedom to process through that emotion with us, knowing that when they hit teenage years, they're not going to want to process that with you. Hello there. You're listening to the Girl Talk Podcast. My name is Carol.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Tricia.
You ever tried to protect your kids when you're going through a crisis? I think we all could answer yes to that.
Yes.
So, do you girls express emotions in front of your kids?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
On a scale from, let's say, 1 to 10, how much emotion do you express in front of your child?
All of it.
Like 10 out of 10?
I mean,
in the same.
I guess it depends on how emotional I am about something. So, like,
okay, well,
there's
that
lots,
tells me it's not a 10 out of 10, because if you're very emotional about something, then you probably hide that, right?
No, I mean, I don't think we can hide it from our children, to be completely honest. I mean, like, I can't hide it from my children. Maybe it's me, but I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And so if I'm really, really super sad about something, I'm going to cry. And my son's going to see me cry. If I'm really super angry about something, he's going to feel the tension in everything that I do. When I'm slamming the stuff down in the kitchen, or I'm just, he can feel the tension. I think whether we want to or not, we are going to be expressing our emotions around our children. So I try not to scream and holler. I don't try to.
I don't see you as a screamer and hollerer.
I mean, there's times, but I try to, dial that kind of stuff back. Yeah. If I'm like hyperventilating, crying, I try not to, do that in front of anybody, because my face gets all splotchy, and who wants that? But I mean, I just think that if I'm going to be, I'm going to live my emotions. I realize you're looking at me like this.
No, I'm thinking. What about you, TK?
Well, I think I'm not good at this. I wish I was better at shielding my kids from my emotional swings. And it's not like I'm screaming or wailing, but just my moods, my anxiety, my ups and my downs. I think I wish I was better at hiding them from my kids. So I don't know what the number would be, but I'm probably an 8.5, and I don't want to be, because I'm very emotional.
Why don't you want to?
Well, because I feel like
show your emotions.
I'm modeling for them ways of handling situations, and oftentimes I react, and then I process. I pray, I take some time, and I work through it. But if I explode or emote or, am very moody, then I feel like I'm showing them this is how you react. So I would like to not be quite so emotional in front of my kids.
Yeah.
And I don't mean hiding it necessarily,
right.
but I'm not very good at hiding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
what
will
about
say,
you, Carol?
Well, I don't know about a number, but I will say, and maybe this is the difference. I'd never thought of this until we just started having this conversation. I have a girl, and y'all have boys.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's something about that, and plus I'm a single parent. So I realized very early on that my daughter kind of mirrors whatever reaction I'm having. And so she does not like for mama to be sad or upset about things. And so I found myself kind of shielding her from that for a number of reasons, but mostly because I didn't want her to react to that and feel. Now, I'm a very emotionally driven person as well, but especially when it comes to grief, losing my folks and processing through that, she just did not deal well at all with me having those strong emotions. So I think I do shield her from some of that at times. And part of that, too, is feeling like, I think single parents can feel like lone rangers from time to time, whereas, sometimes you will process that emotion with your spouse. I don't always have that person I can go to say, in the moment, I'm really struggling with this. How can you help me kind of process through that? So maybe it's different because she's a girl. Maybe it's different with single parent. Maybe it's just different because I'm just different. I don't know. But I feel like I do shield her from that sometimes.
What's the difference? You feel like it's different because you shield more than we do?
Yeah.
I want to shield more. I would like to be more shieldy.
I mean, I think there's a difference in shielding and a difference in hiding. Like when I say I shield her, I probably don't feel the intensity of the emotion, but I'll still, for instance, I'll just get emotional around special holidays or stuff at church, and so she sees that and she knows. And you're right. A lot of our kids are intuitive in that way that they know, hey, something's not exactly right with mom.
Right, yeah.
But I think I work to particularly shield the intensity of the emotion with her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I worry that I am expressing too much anxiety in front of my kids. And I've seen the result of that because when I get anxious, guess what? They get anxious, especially my youngest. He identifies more with me, I think. And so if I react with anxiety and I'm worried and I'm in my own head, I start to hear and see him doing similar things. So I have really tried to be more aware of that lately. So I'm glad we're having this discussion because it's something that's very relevant to me in my life right now.
Yeah. Well, I guess, too, one of the things that just made me think about this, I think when you think about your anxiety, that I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would think that based on what you've said, that you don't feel like your level of anxiety is a healthy level of anxiety, that it's something you wish you didn't have that much anxiety around. So if that's the case, then not passing along that unhealthy habit, it sounds like as part of one of your goals.
Yes.
And so for me, I'm looking at it from the other perspective of if I'm going through something, I want to teach my child how to cope with it by showing those healthy emotions
Gotcha.
out loud. I don't want to hide, the tears from grief. I don't want to hide, and I don't want to shield. I want to shield my child from things that are things I don't necessarily want him to know. And there's something specific I'm thinking about, but like when it comes to, I want to teach him by modeling for him healthy behaviors of how to have emotions, how to get angry and deal with it appropriately, how to be sad and deal with it appropriately, how to, just how to feel. And then, so I do
because we're going to
talk about that. We're going to feel.
We're going to feel.
Yes,
There's no way.
Well, and I think just hearing y'all talk, I think it is so different with boys and girls because girls don't have to work at emotions all that much. And I think boys, by and large, I'm not saying specific situations there aren't different because they are, because we're each created uniquely. But I think by and large, girls are more feelers than boys are, and you want to model that for your boys so that they see a healthy amount of that in girlfriends or friends or wives down the road, those kinds of things. So I think there is a difference, but I think that you're all right. We want to model how to process those things appropriately. Right. But I will say this, I can't tell you, maybe until older, my parents were older, I never saw them express any emotion at all. I mean, as far as like they were upset about something.
Right. But do you think that did you a disservice by not seeing them emotional?
That's interesting.
I mean, I guess that's a better question for somebody who knows me because I think, I'm still an emotional person. I've had a lot of work in counseling to kind of process through my own emotions. So I don't know that it was necessarily, I will say, I thought it was, I just never saw them as weak. And that was one of the hardest things about watching them age and then pass away is that you see your parents as the same. I mean, they're always the way they are. And then when they get old, you're like, nah, this doesn't line up with the picture I've had of them, So maybe it was, I don't know. Because obviously you can't go back and say, well, if they'd expressed emotion. Now, I'm not saying we were emotionless. I mean, they had normal emotions, but as far as like having discussions or being upset and those kinds of things. I just don't remember seeing that a whole lot.
Yeah. And that's my desire. I want to have conversations. I want to express emotion, and I want to have conversations about that emotion and process that out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't you think there's a continuum? I mean, I think there's a healthy place and an unhealthy place on both ends of that spectrum. And I think probably every family has to find their own because the way we do it might be different than the way you do it, or you do it, or you do it. So finding that healthy boundary between not pretending we don't have emotions, but not giving into our emotions and talking about it. I mean, I think it's kind of like even like saying I'm sorry. That's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
Acknowledging things and then moving beyond them is part of processing.
Yeah.
And I think, too, I like that idea of the continuum. And I also think that continuum can come into play depending on the situation that you're going through. We went through a family situation a few years ago with our extended family where there were lots of big emotions around it, all around. Our child at the time was only 11. And so he had 11-year-old ability to process emotions. And so we shared what we could share. And processed out loud some of that stuff that we could process out loud with an 11-year-old. But then there were lots of emotions that we felt, that we talked about, or that I specifically felt that I did not share.
Right.
In the living room, I only, shared it on my knees, really, most of the time. But so a part of it too is that continuum in a specific issue, and depending on how old your children are and what they can handle, and
emotional emotional intelligence as well.
Yeah, and what the issue is. You know, for us, it was a very adult issue and not something that the children needed to be super aware of, but they did obviously. They could pick up on our heightened.
Going on.
Yes, there's something going on. There's heightened, anger in the family. There's tears going on. There's, there's something going on.
Yeah.
And so having appropriate level of conversations was important, but then shielding them, as you said, from some of those harsher emotions was also important during that time.
And maybe this is what we're getting at. Maybe it's building relationship with your kid as they grow up to where they feel the freedom to come and talk to you about emotions. I'm a stuffer from way back, so I will stuff things down and then I'll hit a wall and I'll be so exhausted and wrung out, and I don't see that in myself very well, but I see it in my kid. And she'll come to me and say, because she sees it in me, she'll be like, "Do you need to go for a run? Do you need to go play pickleball?"
Right.
And so she sees it in me, and I see it in her, and so we have that conversation and we talk about emotions. But I think it is there's a piece of this that is relational in that we want our kids to see a healthy amount of emotion, but we also want them to have the freedom to process through that emotion with us, knowing that when they hit teenage years, they're not going to want to process that with you. It's going to be someone else, and that is part of it. But but providing that opportunity for them to do that whenever they need to, right?
One thing I've learned as it relates to that is that I have to manage my reactions when my kids come to me to tell me something. I can't react crazy, or my oldest son will never come and tell me anything again. I have to be prayerful about my reactions so that he feels safe to tell me things and to process experiences and emotions with me. And so there is a level of prayer and maturity that I need to take on if he's talking to me or telling me something, so that he feels that relational safety to then come tell me things.
I will take this back to, not quite a year ago, but almost. It's hard to believe that Helene was almost a year ago. Like, right? Yeah. So almost a year ago, part of the blessing and yet the curse was that I had my daughter here with me, right?
At the station.
It was a blessing. We were trapped here for 8 days, couldn't get home. And it was a tremendous blessing, because if I hadn't been able to see her for 8 days, I would have probably been walking down the mountain on these 2 feet that God gave me. I don't think we would have done well. But anyway, God made it where we could be together. However, we had internet here, and so she was seeing all the images of the damage and all the places near our home that had been destroyed firsthand, just as I was seeing it. And there was one point that Kelly had to take me for a walk and let me just cry. I think I just cried then. I didn't scream any, but
there was no screaming.
Yeah. But my daughter came into the studio while I was on the air and just held up her phone, and it was a picture from near our house that was completely underwater, under 10 to 12 feet of water. And I shut off the microphones, and she said, "What if our house is gone?" And so we had to process that in real time. And there are some situations that you got to be on your toes for. And that was totally the Lord, because I had very little sleep at that point, had very little sleep, and was not thinking emotionless, right? And I said, you know what? God gave us our house, and if it's gone, then he'll give us somewhere else to live. And I said that before I even really thought about it. But I say that to say, because in certain situations where you're on the spot with things like that, God is so gracious to provide exactly what we need, even though we were processing that in real time.
The reason you were able to do that, number one, Holy Spirit, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And you have fed yourself with that truth in the past. Because it's like that analogy, what happens when you bump into a cup of coffee? What's inside comes spilling out. So it is it is wise to be filling ourselves up with truth like that.
Yeah.
So when we are faced in that moment and you don't really have time to do anything but process, you know the truth.
Yeah.
You know the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how do we live with the tension of being honest with our kids about what we're going through and them seeing too much in crisis? How do you manage that tension as a parent?
I think one of the things we have to do is talk about it. We have to talk openly with our children about the things we're feeling. I think one of the things that our children can take on themselves is they can make up all kinds of stories about why mommy is mad or angry or sad. And they can also take that on as if it's their fault.
Yeah.
And so being able to be emotionally healthy enough to say to them, hey, I know that you see that mommy's upset. I know you can feel that. I want you to know this is not about you.
Right.
You are loved, and I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
It might take a minute, but I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so I think using our words and helping our children understand that maybe there's something I can't talk to you about because you're not at an age where I can talk to you about this particular thing, or I don't want to talk to you about my junk I'm going through right now. But I just want you to know that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good place to be in that healthy tension.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think along with that is letting them see you cope. Letting them see you going through the coping mechanisms. And for me, letting them see me pray about my anxiety, or letting them see me on my bed reading my Bible, knowing that I'm working through something. Letting them see that I'm going to a counselor and he's helping mom. And letting them see that part of it, because they're likely seeing the mess part. And then when you get to show them the treatment part, I think that models for them what they can do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If you have solutions or things that have worked for you and your family in dealing with your kids and going through a crisis, we'd love to hear all about it. You can email us, girltalk@thelightfm.org. You can check in on the Facebook pages. We always love it. We do a little happy dance every time we get an email from you. So email us with your questions or your comments. And make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast so you don't ever miss an episode. You don't have to check in every week and wonder if we've released a new episode. It'll come straight to your phone if you subscribe. And we'll save you a seat next time we gather around these microphones for the next Girl Talk podcast.